All right, we are live. Sorry for the delay. Can everyone hear me? See a few people watching on the stream. Okay. All right. So what am I doing today? I am going to build a full stack app with Next.js. So had a few ideas for projects, but something I guess that is kind of floating my boat is trying to build an LMS. And an LMS, learning management system, can have things like videos, code tutorials, documents. There's a whole range of things. And what the cool thing about it is there are parts of the app that will need to be public, and there will be parts that will need to be private. You will also need some sort of login, and there'll be some need for an admin of some sort as well. So it's quite a big, wide-ranging project, and I know I'm not going to be able to do it all in 1 hour. So it's going to be a constant sort of stream of every couple of days. I will try and chip away a little bit more in it. So it should be quite fun. And yeah, should be exciting as well in terms of hopefully some of you may have used Next.js before, but this is version 13, I believe. I think a few things have changed since I've last used it. So I'll be learning a little bit as well as you guys. So that's all good. Cool. Okay. So before we even get started, I guess, well, what am I going to do in terms of the actual planning stage? I guess that's probably one of the first steps. Um, I'm going to jump to my screen. Here we go. Um, so sometimes best to, when you're starting to think of ideas and how you're going to do something, is it's best to sort of whiteboard it. This is about as close as I can get to a whiteboard on a stream. This is freeform. So let's chuck in, I guess, the title. What are we going to call it? It's going to be a LMS on Next.js. Bump up the size a bit there. Let me know in the chat if anything is hard to read as well, because I want everyone to be able to see it. Cool. Okay. So a couple of things that we're going to need for an LMS. We're of course going to need the project, so that's a given. But we're actually going to need like a couple of things in terms of planning and that side of things. So let's put some of those together. We could have, just a circle here. Okay. Bring it to the front. Okay, and we're going to need probably some wireframes. That's probably a good place to start. Um, we're going to need some way of storing the actual data that is going to be part of the LMS. So let's do that. So we want to determine how we store data. Okay. Big thing, color theme, really important. We'll need that. Color theme. Okay. I guess. So there'll be, like I talked about before, there will need to be some parts of it that are sort of sitting in the public, and that can be indexed by Google. So we'll need some public pages. This is just my big sort of my map of kind of how I'm going to build it all. What else do we need? We're going to have logged in pages. Okay. As soon as we say that we need to be logged in some way, then we need to actually, think about it in terms of what are we going to use for authentication. Is it going to be what's that going to be made up of? Do we use something that's off the shelf? It's tricky. Okay. What else do we need? Anyone else? Give me so many ideas in the chat. Definitely with the authentication, we've got some sort of data store. We might need some sort of how the videos are managed. So media, how will that be handled? Okay. I guess what else? What else do I want to have in it? What would be another good thing? I guess with a lot of LMSs, you're going to need some authentication. You might need different types of, I guess, permissions. So we're going to need some way to manage roles. So I could see there could be different types of users. So you could be someone, it may be a student, could be one type of role, and another role could be an admin or a course content editor. That could be in different roles we'd need. Let's do that. So one I can think a student. I might just call it content editor. Make it very generic. What else could we have? We've got public pages, we've got logged in pages, we've got authentication, we've got our roles, we've got student, content editor. It's a way to have some data stored, how we're going to handle media. A tutor for marking. Yeah, that could be another role. That's a great one. Okay. Um, what would that be? What would be a good name? So it could be just marker, I guess. We'll keep it generic. We can always change these later, of course. Okay. What else would people like to see in a LMS? How would the students maybe question something, or how could they raise any issues, or any ideas? No? I'm thinking maybe they could have comments, so they could actually like comment on the video to make it, I guess, a bit more interactive there with people that are administrating the course. I know plenty of LMSs I've used in the past that they have some sort of comment system. Well, they could have a forum page. Ooh, we're starting to get feature creep already, aren't we? That's all good. Well, I think the tricky part is in anything when you're doing this is the scoping is, you know, basically fine tuning it down to what are the things that you need to get started, and we would go after that. But I think pretty much a comments thing would be easy to, well, a basic comments, because you've got to be careful with that. Non-threaded comments would probably be fine. Maybe on each sort of page that could work. What else? Got a marker, I've got a content editor, I've got a student, authentication. Uh, cool thing about authentication is it could be done in a couple of ways. Um, so in my head, I'm thinking you could have just a traditional sort of email password, which is fine. It's absolutely, some people love it. Um, but we could also use a single sign-on, say like authenticating with Google or LinkedIn, um, any of those sort of single sign-on apps. That would be pretty good to be able to do that. So I'll just leave it pretty blank at the moment. Single sign-on sounds like a good one. Um, Probably leaning towards, I guess, a bit more professional LinkedIn maybe, which means that we could maybe do some cool sort of badges or something like that when they've finished a course or something like that. But yeah, that's something to think about in the future. Um, what else are we gonna need? Uh, Comments, roles. What's the? I think this is like probably the minimum I think that I'd like to launch with. Yeah, that's looking pretty cool. Okay. Um, I guess the tricky one I've kind of left off. Um, we'll come to it later, I think, after the wireframes. Is choosing maybe build a UI library from scratch or use something that's already pre-tested and available already. It's those cons and pros of trying to do all this stuff. Cool. Okay, I'm going to start now. So now I've got sort of some brainstorming, I guess, of what I plan to do. Save it for starters. How do we rename it? There we go. LMS brainstorm. Cool. Sorry there. Okay, so wireframes. I think that's where I'm going to start. That's going to help get that visual sort of idea of what I want to do for my design there. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to use something else. I could use this, but I think I'll jump to Excalidraw just because it's nice and simple. Okay. I always forget how you create a new one. Reset the canvas, that's the one. Cool. All right. Okay, cool. So, well, for starters, this is going to be a responsive web app. So I'm going to build it with it in mind that I'm going to have sort of mobile size screens and tablets, um, and of course desktops. Uh, make that a little bit narrower. Also do that for a tablet, and of course desktop. Cool. Any design, I'm going to need to have, I guess, some sort of header or some sort of navigation that the users can be able to navigate around. So I'm just going to put something like this here. Again, these can be as rough as you want. Sometimes having it low fidelity is great because it means that you're just going to not be limited kind of what you're going to be doing. So that could be my nav up there. Just do that's my logo for now. Um, that there, okay. And some sort of navigation. Um, I just put a text label for now. I don't know if I put it as an icon or what. Oh, Comic Sans. I think it's the one thing I don't like about. There we go. About a Skeletor. Okay, put that there. And of course, this is going to have a bit more room for menu items. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I've got basic navigation, logos sort of here area. It's going to be consistent across the different size screens there. But I'm going to have to actually make up a whole lot of different pages. So I'm just going to put a label beside this. This is going to be the home. It's a kind of landing page that's going to be a page that I want people to come to and be able to know sort of what they're coming to a site about, or what's it going to try and get them to, try and get them to sign up, get them to see, what's on offer, and be able to do a course. So what I could do is I'd have some sort of maybe a hero image here, which would then entice people to want to be able to take a look. So I'm just going to do kind of like a common thing is images is of course to have a cross lined for it to denote an image and have some sort of call to action, maybe a call to action button or something like that that's going to get people to sign up. You can just keep it really rough. Okay. Okay, so that's on a mobile screen, front and center, right in that first sort of section as they come to the app, they're going to see what's on offer, hopefully. Nice big hero image explaining what's on offer, getting them to sign up. I'm going to want to do something, I guess, similar for the tablet, but I've got a little bit more room. So what I could do, rather than just have the one kind of image here, okay, is it option or is it control? So I've got one there, and I could do maybe two side by side. That would sort of make use of the extra room there, like so. Let's see what's 50-50. Okay. All right. Okay, so we've got sort of two by side now. We've got a button here. Again, call to action. Trying to get people to sign up, maybe start a course. Maybe some of the courses may be initially free. Not quite sure yet. We haven't quite figured that plan out, but it's definitely could be on the roadmap. And where's my selection tool? Here it is. There we go. I copy that. And for the next one, I'm going to make it so that it is, I think, 3 across at the moment. I might change my mind later, but that's probably a good place to start. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so homepage. Do I want a footer? Yes, I do want a footer of some sort. Um, we're thinking MVP here. So MVP is either minimum viable product, which I don't quite like that much. I prefer the minimum valuable product because the reality is people aren't going to use your stuff unless it's valuable to them. So you want to make it uh, not just viable, you want to make it so that people will actually want to sign up and pay money for it. So that's making it invaluable to them. Okay, so we've got those three there, sign up. Um, I think the other thing I'll probably just put on for now is a footer, and I'll keep it pretty low key again. Probably just some links, I think, in the bottom here. Again, sort of placeholders, not really doing any thought to the content yet, although I should at some point. Cool. I'm going to right click and is it adjust vertically? No. No. Too simple. I'll left align those. Cool, cool. Okay. Could imagine these would maybe be two columns on the tablet, maybe a third one down here. Again, sort of getting that flow of content. And of course with the mobile, that's just going to stack. Like so. Cool. Okay. Alright, we're starting to get things together, like what our homepage would be. I guess the next step, we've got that call to action there. What I could do instead, from the next step, I guess, would be to have maybe a sign up page. So let's do that. And one more. While I've got these, I'm just going to grab the header and I'm going to try and get this all rapidly put together. I'm missing my. There we go. And of course I'm going to use these multiple times, so I should probably duplicate this. Not do what I've just done now, which took forever. Okay. Infinite canvas is a wonderful thing. When it copies properly. Try that again. Maybe one more. Okay, so we've got my home. I'm going to do sign up process. Generally, you can have a multitude of things, I guess, for a sign up process, and especially one with a single sign up. So what I'll do is like a form, something like this, and I'm going to have my label. So I'm going to use email, and I'm going to use password for the first option. And then I'm going to have options for, that's the wrong one. Something like that. Hey Belinda, cool to have you on the stream. Hopefully we'll get to next. We might still be on the planning stages, but that's okay. It's a long process. Okay. Okay, so I've got my email address, got my password, and I'm going to need a couple of buttons. I'm feeling like LinkedIn, maybe, because this could be for a enterprise or work user as well, so they could have Microsoft and maybe Google. It might be a good subset of single sign-on. Cool. Okay, so thinking about it in terms of the users coming in, they're looking on a mobile. Well, it probably would be nice, I guess, to have some more introduction side of things. Let's kind of just skip straight to the point on a mobile screen, and try to get them to fill in their details there, or hit one of these buttons and go through that process of using the single sign-on. So what am I going to have different on a tablet? So I should probably have my label here. And I'll try and copy. I want to reuse it because I don't want to have to start completely from scratch. I might put that to the right, and I don't think the ratio is quite right, but the Y to sign up. So why would someone want to actually to do that? Have that there on the page, so they come in on a bigger screen. They'd see that, but they'd also have, of course, this on the mobile. It's just that it's not going to be easily visible, I guess, above the fold there. So we'll still have it. We'll just have it sort of a bit lower down. Make it a bit more square. Okay. So desktop is next, and again, I can probably use a lot of what I've already got for the sort of tablet sort of size, but I can play around with my ratios a bit more. Got a bit more room to breathe. Potential here to have a nice hero image. What are the benefits, features, or something like that. Could be as an image or it could be as text. Not quite sure yet. Cool. Okay. Sign up. That's done. Of course, when you have a sign up, you're also going to need some sort of login. I want to have this. The reason I've just not haven't done a lot on the sign up process is I don't want actually too much of a barrier there to get them first in the door. Um, Ideally, as being I guess a potential student user, um, try to collect the minimum amount of information as possible. Um, so maybe email, password. I can take them to a profile page later, and they can fill in those kind of details. So I'll just try and keep it super simple. And the other cool thing about this is if I have it very simple like this, I can actually reuse it. I could use this for my login as well. Sometimes we want to take some shortcuts. Again, this is an MVP that I'm trying to build. It's not going to be all singing and dancing yet, but it's really good to try and be mindful of how you can sort of do things and not take too much time. Okay, so that's doing that. Sign up. I guess probably the two most important pages of an LMS is going to be the actual, I guess, like an overview page of what the course is, and then secondly, the actual each detail. So like design like a detail page for the course content there, and that course content could be text, it could be video, it um, could be a PDF to download, it could be, I mean, potentially it could be a survey or a questionnaire. So that's maybe some things to think about in the future. But if we want to think about this in terms of, I guess, an MVP side of things, probably the most common thing with an LMS would be my text and maybe a video. Having those two, I think, would be a good starting point. So let's have one of these labels. So what am I going to do? I'm going to do, what do I call it? Naming things is hard, really hard. So we're going to got a course overview. There we go. Okay, start with that. Course overview, and with it, they're going to be able to see basically a list. The key things that they're going to be wanting to be able to see, of course, is their progress, so that they can come back to it later. So this could be course section. And we're going to have to indicate in some way what they have and haven't done. Okay, make it a little bit easier to see. All right. Am I going to change it for desktop and mobile and tablet? Sorry. Probably. Yeah. Um, I guess we could just have more content, to be honest. You could have a bigger description. So what I might do is just stretch these out a little bit. And I could do the same on the desktop and have some uh, description, of course, or something. Just realized I lost all my buttons. Not to worry. I might actually make this stacked. And I'll do the same on here. Cool. So description, like that, like that, like so. Cool. Probably what other two minimal screens I could need? I need the actual details itself of the actual course. So I'll need to sort of represent that in some way. So we've got some idea of what we're actually going to need. So literally I could see it being, it'll have the section title, and then we'll have either text blocks or video. Does this got ellipse built in? No, it doesn't. Quickly generate some. Something like that. Not particularly great, but it'll help, I guess, us get us an understanding of what we're actually trying to do. Am I on the wrong type of block? I think it has to be a. Let's make it look like a block. Yeah, something like that. Left align. Cool. I can't shrink it. Okay. All right, so we've got a section. We'll probably have a video of some sort. And I'm just going to sort of represent it sort of like this. Doesn't have to be too great, it just has to look like something I'll recognize when I come back to it and go, well, what was that I was trying to draw? There we go. And maybe another text block underneath that. And of course, we talked about it before, going back to our sort of my map. I talked about comments. So I will add a comment block on the bottom. I don't know, something like that maybe. Very rough. Okay. I don't know if I'll actually do anything different for the tablet. And then again, for the desktop, I don't know if I'd do it that much different too. Um, Instead, I'd probably just make use of the area to actually have a bigger area for viewing the video. Um, so let's do that. Excuse my crude drawings. The number one thing with a wireframe is that you want it to be relatively quick to put together, and the second thing is that you want it to at least be recognizable so that when you show it to someone else, they would actually hopefully understand what you're trying to do. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've got a course overview. This will be my course detail. Got some weird artifact there. I'm not sure what that was. And I'm going to put this here. Course detail. Cool. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. So I've got those. I've got my layout. Got my course detail. Got my course overview. Sign up page and slash login page, and a home page. I guess the next kind of what is probably the minimum. Again, because I'm doing this as an MVP, it won't have all the nice admin interface yet. This will be initially we'll just have it so that it's in format which I can edit, so it can be a bit more technical. And if it's making some entries in a database tool, that's fine. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm going to save that. Now I always forget what to do. Here we go, save. I'm going to save it as I'm going to save it to disk. I'll put it into my downloads. LMS. These aren't, of course, finished. This is just getting to a point where I think we've got something to start with. Because I bet you're all itching to sort of kick off the project and see how that goes. Okay. A few more steps I've got to do along the way. Coming back to our brainstorming. So what could we have initially? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort of circle what I think I can actually, I guess, can get away with as doing for my MVP. I'll just use that tool. It's a bit big. So I could get away with having just the role for a student, potentially. What else could I get away with? I could potentially just have email password as the authentication, and then add the single sign-on later. What else what can I get away with? Well, we've done the wireframes, so we've done that. I'm not going to be escape this one, determine how we'll store data, because that's pretty important. The authentication, again, that's going to be important. Logged in pages, definitely, and public pages. Okay, so what would I store? Probably the key thing as well that I also need. I've got nothing there really talking about the course structure. So what do I need? I'm just going to call it data. And from this point, I'm going to need I need to see the course. So there'll be a course, so it'll be the parent. It'll have a child of course details. No, it'll have a course section. Have a child of course section. And it will also need the course media. Which I could probably break up into two things, which would be some text markdown maybe. So the actual content for a section, and the other could be the media. I didn't make it videos because I want to make this kind of generic. So media could have a type of video, maybe a type of image. Probably is my MVP sort of things. So I'll put those labels there to that so that we don't forget that. So image, and video. I think that's kind of the bare minimum that I can get away with there. Let's start drawing some lines to stuff so it makes it a bit easier to come back to and know what we're talking about. All right. Okay. A couple more. So you can't move it easily. It's a bit of a pain. All right, cool. Course, course media, course text markdown. Here we go. Cool. So that's like the core things of what people are actually going to view or read or watch. They're going to need to, of course, then have a comments attached to it. So do another one. I'll probably attach the. Do I attach the comments to the media, or should I attach the comments, sorry, to the section? I'm gonna keep it quite high level, so I think I'll keep it to the section. And that will be many to one, child sort of parent. Okay. How we're looking. Okay, comments, data. It's kind of one of my key areas is the data. Course section, course media, comments, text markdown, media, image, and video. That's a little bit confusing. I'm just going to drop these. because that would be the sort of type for media. Okay, comments, got that covered. I've got some form of student. Now, the student's going to need some sort of profile. Thinking of it as the MVP, I might try and get away without having any details yet. But what I probably can't get away with is the student's progress. It's really important. They need to be able to see what they've actually looked at, and when they come back to the LMS, they're going to be able to see, what the actual what section they got up to, and yeah, we want to be able to just take them straight back into it and not have to navigate around, obviously, as well. So need what's the best word for it? I just might just call it progress then. So it's progress. It's going to be attached to the student. Should probably call it student progress. And I'm going to make a table for student, I think, as well. Cool. All right, so we've got the student, got the progress. That's going to be attached to the course. Student progress, course section, course media. This is definitely not a database diagram. Enrollment in a course. Ooh, I like that, Belinda. That's a good one. So they need a student progress. Maybe I can have a course enrollment table. Be multiple enrollment records with the student's name in it, or ID. Okay. This very much looks like I'm already going down the path of a sort of relationship style database. So I think that's it's kind of a given so far. It's not probably, it's probably a little bit more. I mean, you could do this. You could do this with something like MongoDB, but I'm thinking I will probably use Postgres for this. So that will be cool. So we've made a decision, I think. That's good. Again, for brainstorming. DB. So I've talked about that. That's going to determine what I'm going to store. Comments, kind of got that in the data now, so I might just leave that for now. Okay. So let's do that. Okay. So we're starting to get like a key list of actual requirements now for the project. Key ones being I need to be able to have some authentication system. It's going to need some roles in the future. Uh, it's going to need some way to map that to maybe a relational database where I can have the parent and children relationships not only for the course but those that are enrolled into it, their progress, comments, um, the course media. So there's going to be a parent and child relationship around that as well. And I think that's the core parts I think that I can get away with. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I need something that's going to be able to do authentication and database. Now, they could be two different things. I could use two different services. I could have a Docker image running Postgres, and I could use potentially something like Okta for sort of authentication there. Okta or Auth0, maybe it's little baby brother. Alternatively, um, there's one thing that's coming to my mind that could do both, um, and actually also um, hopefully save us some time. How do you know these things? So this is the hard part, is basically you don't unless you've, I guess, been searching out there for this kind of stuff. It's like, how would you know what to even search for? Um, but you could just like Auth0, of course. Auth0 is basically your identification platform. So it's got the ability there to do all the, just like we want there, email, password, and continue with either sort of like Google or Office or like I've talked about LinkedIn as well. There's definitely something I could do. And on the database side, I could just use Postgres database. I could use maybe, you can see here there's Amazon advertising there on that sponsored link for having a SQL Postgres database that's hosted on Amazon, and it's a database as a service. Again, you've got the actual Postgres site. I know of another thing that would be quite beneficial, and that would be Supabase. For those that don't know it. So what I tried to think about it is Firebase would probably be more similar to something like Mongo, and that allows you to have authentication system, data structure, and even things like being able to have storage and that side of things. So of media, we can do the same with Supabase, and Supabase is it's very similar to Firebase, as you know, it's in here. Supabase is an open source Firebase alternative, and the cool thing about it, it's got nice integration with Next.js. Jack, that's what we're going to be using. It's got authentication. It's got a database. It's relational. Cool. So everyone is probably familiar with a relational database, a SQL database. Postgres one is a great open source solution. Again, it's got storage, so we could store things like videos and images. So that probably suit us nicely. Okay. Cool. So I think we've made some decisions around that we could, we've got the ability there to do our authentication. So let's double check to make sure that we're going to be able to do some sort of single sign-on. Do we have LinkedIn? How can I find that out? Good question. Let's go into documentation. Enterprise single sign-on, social login. Yes. Okay, so we've got LinkedIn, we've got Google, we've got Microsoft via Azure. There's even Slack, which actually, that could be quite a good one too. Um, awesome. Okay, so that's all great. That's social login. That's going to be perfect. We've got the ability to do login with email. Again, that's looking perfect for what we need. They've even got a quick start there for Next. So we'll probably jump into this soon. Probably not today. And what else do we need? We needed to look at it in terms of database. So I know that for a fact that Superbase actually also has a quite nice editing tool that's all web-based as well. So you can administer your site, I guess, while you're in the sort of early stages before you have, I guess, a full-blown actual interface there that people would be able to and manage content in. Like I said in the sort of whiteboarding here, let's try and keep it down to the minimum here. We want to be able to try and get this out and launched. So trying to minimize your scope is a good way of doing that. Okay. All right. So I'm feeling pretty happy about that. I think Superbase seems to be covering quite a few of my options. Authentication. So it's got a SQL editor here. It's got a table view editor. So I've technically got a very basic admin that I can use at least to get started, to be able to add content, to add videos, and sort of get started there, which is pretty cool. And another normal thing that anyone will question, of course, is price. That's always a good question to sort of ask. So if we look at the pricing here, we've got a $0. It looks like it's social auth providers. So it's quite generous. I think that 500 megs, that should be fine. Probably not so much on the file storage at 1 gig. Video's big, but we can start off there at least and get going. And you can have 50,000 monthly active users. I would wish I could have 50,000 monthly active users. That's more than I could expect. So that's probably good in terms of getting up and running fast. Next on the list, how's it gonna look? This is a tricky one. I could, of course, go and make a full custom CSS theme layout, but it's probably going to be quite slow to get started. It'll take me quite a long time to build out a component library, and it's actually really hard to beat something that's already pre-configured. So even if you think about Tailwind, even in terms of development speed, it's still going to make you a little bit faster there because you're not sort of starting from scratch completely. But I'll probably take it one step further again, while I'll be able to have a lot of freedom in terms of customization with something like Tailwind. I'll show you what I mean by that. There's actually another article, there's a couple of articles about Tailwind on my own website as well, if you want to have a look. Tailwind, what is Tailwind CSS? So I've got a brief introduction about what it's all about. Well worth checking out if you would like to see that. Let's check into the chat. Okay. It's great. I mean, like I've used Tailwind quite a few times in the past, but it ends up meaning instead of having to write all our CSS out like this, we end up with it all the CSS classes already pre-configured, and we just apply them to our components in React. Not bad. It's going to be quite quick, but it's still going to require us to make all the sort of controls, form elements, things like, because we're going to need a logon form, so we're going to need some sort of password field, input field. We'll probably need some nice text area of some sort to be able to do a comments for the users to be able to add comments. We're going to need buttons of some sort, whether that be to enroll in a course or sign up on a form, that kind of thing. Navigation, that's another thing we probably want to have. We can build that from scratch. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Just time is our enemy, I guess. When you're building anything from for yourself, there's only sort of one person, so you can only, you want to sort of maximize your time, being able to build things a bit faster. And I could use a whole range of sort of UI libraries. There's MUI, which is the Material UI, which uses React components. There's Chakra, Ant Design. There's just a couple off the top of my head. There's a version of Bootstrap that's built with React components. But a new one that I've really liked the look of, and again, the other great thing about it is that it prioritizes accessibility, is the Radix UI. So why would I want to use something like this? Well, you can see just from the sort of layout here, if we look at the live playgrounds, you've got a whole lot of input controls, you've got switches, you've got cards, you've got drop down components, that kind of thing. Nice little icons. What else? Even like slider controls. Not sure I'm going to use that one, but yeah, there's even like a little play button there. Might use something like that, of course, for our videos. So it's quite a well designed sort of theme, I guess. It's got the ability there to sort of have some customization where you can switch it already from light to dark. It's got the ability for aspect ratios, avatars. Block codes. A whole lot of color theming. Buttons, of course. What else? Callouts there. Cards. Like I said, being able to have all the stuff all ready to go is nice. Checkboxes. Code even. That's good. A menu. That's pretty slick. So you got some awesome sort of ability to do a lot of the stuff out of the box without having to build it from scratch. Another cool thing about this Radix library, I believe it's got really good accessibility. So that's another thing that's going to also speed up time and sort of development. Trying to making your website accessible is a really important part of building anything these days. They say that somewhere between sort of 5 and 20% of people have some sort of disability of some sort, and that's that's pretty big numbers, and that can be ranging from everything from um, cognitive to maybe ADHD. It could be low sight. So there's a lot of macular deterioration uh, of where people cannot see things as easily in the center of their vision. Um, color blindness. There's all sorts. Um, and it's really nice to be able to have something that's already got a lot of that done for you. Um, so again, this theme's got icons. It's got quite a large big icon set. It's got colors. I can use these color schemes, and it's also got these are primitives as well. So you've also got the ability there to, I guess, make some custom elements if need be, which is quite nice, which is cool. Uh, documentation wise, accessibility there, it's very much on the top level there. Again, they've got accessible labels, keyboard navigation, focus management, it's all built on there. Keyboard navigation is there. So that's a great in terms of being able to build this web app. So going back to our whiteboard, we've got, I guess, a stack. Let's put like a list together of what our stack's going to be. Now I've already chosen Next.js. Why? I'm familiar with it. It's React, and it's very popular. It's got the ability to also do server-side rendering and client-side rendering, which is going to be, of course, important for things like public pages where they need to be indexed by something like Google. Okay, so Next.js, we're going to have a Radix for our UI. Okay, we're going to use Superbase, and that's going to be auth, and it's going to be DB. Okay. Hosting we'll worry about later. I guess the one other cool thing is the videos. It's storage media. We'll put Superbase down for the time being. I'm not sure if it's going to be cost effective in that area, but we can swap that out. But there you've got a full stack app. Will be able to be built with Next.js, so we'll be able to build APIs, or interfacing with Superbase anyway. We'll be able to render things server-side and client-side. The key thing about the client-side side of things is that we want to be able to track things like people's progress, and eventually have some sort of interaction of some sort, whether that be questionnaires, surveys, that kind of thing. So again, sort of leaning towards a view library like React or Angular, or Vue. So that's kind of where we're looking at in terms of stack. And again, next, why I'm using that is because it's React based. I'm comfortable with React. Sometimes it's good to work with something you know. Server-side rendering. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so I think that's we're at 2:30 now. I'm going to stop, I think, for now. But I guess from the next our next session, we will jump into more of us planning, getting this tech stack set up, and of course starting to do something like a Kanban board of some sort, where we can actually break up sort of all the work that needs to be done. Okay, So thank you everyone that's been watching my stream. Please like and subscribe to my channel. You'll get notifications, of course, when the next live streams are coming up. And I'm going to try and do about 4 streams a week. That's the goal, but as time permits. So I will post those as soon as I know. Um, got Robbie's asking, have you ever added, would it be difficult to add Next.js to an existing project? Um, it depends. um, I would probably instead do it the other way around. Start the Next.js project, and if you already had, say, maybe some React components, I would pull them in. You'd be able to do that quite easily. It's probably a bit easier than starting the other way. No problem now. Hope you enjoyed it. I will try and do the same time on Monday at 1 p.m. Any other questions? No? Awesome. All right. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.